it breaks my heart to even say this. I follow this Iran news very, very closely. And I'm seeing something that reminds me very much of what we were seeing vis-a-vis Iraq in 2002. And that is a fundamental misunderstanding of the other side. Let me explain. In 2002, it was all about weapons of mass destruction. Okay, the CIA said to the White House, there are no weapons of mass destruction. The MI6, British Intelligence Service, said there are no weapons of mass destruction. Dick Cheney insisted that there were weapons of mass destruction, and he found somebody in the person of Ahmed Chalabi to say in writing, there are weapons of mass destruction. We knew there weren't. We said repeatedly there weren't. And when it proved to be true that there weren't, Condoleezza Rice told George Tenet, quote, George, you're just going to have to take one for the team. So at the same time, this fundamental misunderstanding that we had was that we didn't understand that culturally, Saddam Hussein had to be able to save face. He had to look strong and decisive and tough for his own people. And not just his own people, but other Sunni Muslims in the Persian Gulf region. We didn't allow him that. We wanted to humiliate him and destroy him. And so that's what we set out to do. So it was a fundamental misunderstanding of the other side. What we're seeing now in Iran is we're seeing people in the streets demonstrating. These demonstrations have been absolutely deadly. Even the Iranian government admits that the demonstrations have been absolutely deadly. But let's look at who's demonstrating. The demonstrations did not start in Tehran. They started in smaller cities all around Iran. But they were encouraged by members of the MEK, the Mujahideen-e-Khalq, which is it used to be a communist group, then it became a fundamentalist group. It's actually more of a cult than anything else, a cult of personality under the leadership of a crazy woman named Miriam Rajavi. She took over the group after her husband mysteriously disappeared. I've always been of the belief that she killed him and she buried him somewhere, out in the desert so she could take over. That's the kind of person that Miriam Rajavi is. For many, many years, for decades, the MEK was on the list of the State Department's, international terrorist groups. And it remained on that list until 2012, when Barack Obama took it off. Why? Because Howard Dean was a lobbyist for the MEK, because Hillary Clinton became a lobbyist for the MEK, because Rudy Giuliani was a lobbyist for the MEK. This is a bipartisan get-rich-quick scheme. So all you have to do is take them off the terrorism list and everybody can make millions and millions of dollars. Well, it's the MEK that inspired or that set up many of these demonstrations. How did they do that? They did that with the help of the Israeli government. And how do we know that? We know it because the Israeli government leaked the story to the Jerusalem Post, bragging about it. So we have people at the White House saying, oh my God, there are these demonstrations in Iran and they want the exiled Shah's son to come back and to be the Shah. And it's going to be constitutional democracy, constitutional monarchy, and everybody's going to live happily ever after. No, that's not the case at all. First of all, the Iran Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, which effectively runs the country, has 150,000 people. That's a lot of people with a lot of weapons. Number two, the country is genuinely split. Sure, there are some people who support the MEK. There are some people who are tired of living under these ayatollahs, but there are a lot of people who want to be left alone. I remember in 2003, the night before we invaded Iraq, hearing a senior director at the National Security Center say, as we were wrapping up a meeting, he was picking up his papers to get up and walk out of the conference room. And he said, tomorrow, when we cross the border, they're going to throw flowers at us. And I said to the deputy director of the CIA, these people don't know anything about history. Well, we're seeing exactly the same thing in Iran. They're not going to throw flowers at us. They're going to see us as attackers and invaders, and they're going to unite to protect their country. So if we think that the Iranians are just going to roll over and their government's just going to collapse and the Ayatollah is going to jump on a plane and run to Moscow or wherever, ain't going to happen. It's going to be ugly. Before we go on to the next question, I want to read a note from our sponsors, for which I'm very grateful. And I'll add too, there was a piece in Reuters this morning saying that gold crossed $5,000 an ounce. It's the first time in recorded history that gold has been $5,000 an ounce. So before we jump in, there's something worth thinking about. Now that Donald Trump is back in office, there's growing speculation that gold could play a key role in his economic agenda. And this is very specific. It's not confirmed, of course, but some analysts believe that a gold reset could help tackle the national debt. That there's a new report called Trump's $24,000 panic button that breaks this down. It shows how a move like this happened before in 1934 under Franklin Roosevelt and why the conditions today look surprisingly similar. One surprising detail most people don't know is that the U.S. government still values its gold at just 42 cents an ounce. That's the official government price of gold. $42 an ounce. But gold now, today, is above $5,000.